I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm on it.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Welcome back, kids and coaches, to another episode of West of Nowhere. I am Levi.
And I'm Shane.
Yeah, we're back at it. We're here. And I was going to say would probably get the show taken off the air, so never mind. But get used to it. Fill in the blank between we're here and get used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I got what you're saying, but it's not even remotely true. Unless you're coming out on the show, in which case, you know, hey, I'm here for you.
No, but you think that would help our listener base at all?
Probably.
Yeah.
If one of us were a minority of some sort instead of just two white dudes.
Just two straight white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have everything. What are you complaining about? Everything, obviously. Fucking pay attention. I don't know.
If you're wondering why we didn't record last week, Levi was conveniently sick, you know, but he still could put out his other show, so let's just not throw stones, you know.
Listen, conveniently sick. I have let you know that my allergies have been whooping my ass lately, and it's right in that sweet spot where I'm not confident when I wake up if I'm actually ill or if it's the trees that hate me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude,
like, I always was told that when you blow your nose, you have a stuffy nose, you blow your nose, it's clear, it means it's allergies. And if it's all gunky, you're sick. But I don't think that's true. I think that's some just bullshit mom propaganda. You know what I mean?
So, I never really got that same, like, story told to me, but I did notice, like, in my 30s now, I have noticed that every morning when I wake up, I have to blow my nose. Like,
yeah.
When I was younger, never. But as soon as I wake up, I have to blow my nose. And if I don't, then I'm stuffy all day. And maybe it's because I've gotten allergies somehow, which doesn't make any sense
just
because
developed them over the years.
Yeah. But now, no matter what, the first thing I have to do is blow my nose when I wake up, and
That's
then
weird.
Get ready for work, whatever.
Yeah.
And it never used to happen before.
Sure.
But since I've noticed that, now anytime when I have my son, if he sniffles one time, I'm like, go blow your nose.
Yeah.
Just go. And I wonder if it's just an old thing, right? So, like, when you're younger, you don't think about it, you're just whatever. But I can remember, like, sniffling one time, my mother going, go blow your nose.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it might be an old thing where, like, once you're old, you just, I have to blow my nose all the time because, like, I don't know, the hairs in your nose have just gotten so thick.
Yeah.
They just catch everything.
Yeah. Dude, that's what I think, too. It's like, I know that they're there to do that, but it sucks, and how dare you. But,
yeah.
I don't know, and you bring up a good point, but, like, when I was little, I hated blowing my nose. I don't even know why. What? It takes like 2 seconds, and I was like, this is the worst thing you can do to a human is make them blow their nose. Like,
yes.
So, and to that, to this day, I will sniffle and, like, I will keep that stuff in for way too long, and then I'll blow my nose, and I'm like, man, that felt good. And still, I'm like, I'll just sniffle all day long, and I don't know what I'm doing. It turns out I'm very bad at being a human, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, on that same vein of, like, thinking things were the worst as, like, being a child, I can also remember, like, getting my fingernails clipped. So, like, blowing my nose didn't really bother me growing up.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, it was fingernails. My mom would be like, it's time to clip your fingernails. And I was like, no.
Really?
She would have to, like, chase me around the house.
That's hilarious.
And, like, and force me to let her, because I was just like, the act itself just freaked me the fuck out for some reason.
Yeah.
I just, like, could not stand it.
See, I never worried about my fingernails because I was a chronic nail biter until 3 months ago. I had to make, like, the most conscious effort to, like, stop and I'm doing pretty good. But it feels weird and I don't like it, but I know I shouldn't, so I have to, But for me, the thing like I hated more than anything was like when I was real little, probably like 3 to like 5, no, 3 to like 10 probably. I was like, I fucking hated having to go take a bath or take a shower, and it's not because I wanted to be disgusting or anything like that, or like I hated getting clean. I just hated that I had to take time out of doing whatever I was doing to go out of my way to go fucking do this bullshit. Like I was like, I don't want to do it. Like I'm busy playing. Like me, Goku, and Vegeta are having this crazy fight right now, and I cannot be taken away from it. Like, and so my mom had to do like some mental warfare and was like, all right, well, we'll like, and she turned it into this big game of like how quick I can get done in the shower, like, or in the bath, like how quick I can get everything done, get in and get out. And so that was like the thing. And I was like, get in, get out, and just hauling ass through the. And so to this day, I still take like 7-minute showers. It's like so ridiculous, but I'm like I don't want to be in there all day. I have stuff I'd rather be doing. That does the shower feel great? Yeah, but like I would much rather be doing something like anything else.
No, yeah, so. I'm really glad that you brought that up, that you said the shower, because I was gonna say shower and then I was like, I don't want people to think I'm nasty.
Yeah.
Next best thing was, because I can remember the same thing, like I was just too busy, like in my whatever 7, 8, 9 year world, or what, maybe even a little younger. I was just like, there is too many things going on right now. Like I got my action figures, I'm doing this, like things are happening right now and I cannot stop.
Yeah.
I can't do
the
it.
Imagination's going. Like if I press pause, I might not remember what I was doing. Like, yeah, no, 100%. And of course you can't like say that as a kid. You are literally like, I don't wanna, like, and that's the only words that come out. But like in your head, you're like, I have all this stuff going on. Like I can't. If I come back, I won't know which car's in first place. Like I don't. This is not what we're doing.
Right.
But it just comes out as, I don't wanna take a shower. You're like, okay, cool. And it's crazy, like watching kids now, like, because I still have vivid, recollection of how I acted and how I thought, and so I'll see kids like doing stuff. I'm like, man, I get it, dude. Like, like the parents are like, oh, we can't. I'm like, I know what's happening. This kid is like, yeah, it just cracks me up.
And so in like the last like 6 months, my son has like started to shower on his own. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. For the longest time, if he took a bath, you couldn't get water in his eyes. And if you got water in his eyes, it was the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I missed the transition. I was on deployment, unfortunately, but there was this transition where he went from taking baths and like couldn't get water in his eyes to now he takes showers like a fucking adult.
Yeah.
And you can always tell if he actually cleaned himself. If once he gets out of the shower and he gets dressed and he comes downstairs, he'll go, Dad, do I smell like whatever soap was in there? And he could read what the smell was supposed to be. If he asks you if he smells like that soap, then you know he cleaned himself.
Yeah.
But if he comes downstairs and just and doesn't ask, I'm like, hey Emmett, what'd you do in the shower? He's like, I cleaned myself. And I was like, let me smell you. And he'll be like, I'm
actually I got something going on. That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Kids crack me up, dude. Like, especially when like they're at that age where they're trying to like get out of doing different things, and like they can actually like they can make an argument. It's never a good one, but they can like make the argument. Like, well, here's the thing: is you told me this, and so now this is what I wanted. And you're like, no, bro, that's not rules change. This is what we're at. This is what we're doing. Okay, well.
I actually learned that I'm not a terrible parent.
Hey.
Which is cool. So last weekend, we were camping with another couple and some other friends and stuff, and my buddy's wife brought up the fact that in an effort to try to make their son not lie, she would say, "I can tell you're lying." Like if she could actually tell he was lying.
Oh.
yeah, if she could tell he was lying, she started saying, "You have a star on your head."
Oh.
Right? And I was like, no way. I was like, that's crazy, because I think I've talked about it on this podcast or West Bind or whatever.
One of the 30 podcasts we've been on.
Right. When Emmett was younger, when we first started, like trying to get him to we started to realize that he was realizing he could lie about stuff, not just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Our thing was, hey, we know you're lying. Your ears are turning red.
Oh yeah.
And for the longest time, and I've had debates, with, like, sitting around doing nothing, going, was that terrible? Did I like fuck my son up?
Yeah.
Like, years from now, when he's an adult, is he gonna be talking to some fucking random person and just, cover his ears like a fucking crazy person?
Yeah.
It was so refreshing to hear that another parent, even though I thought their idea was less believable, because a star, where does a star come from? Like, you can feel when your ears get red.
Yeah.
I mean, at least maybe not when you're 7 or younger, you can't feel that, but like when you get older, you can definitely feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was so refreshing to hear that other parents make up preemptive things to try to like stop you.
Yeah.
From lying. So that was pretty dope. Like
that's funny. I've never I don't think I remember like a specific tactic. I think my mom was always just like, I know you're lying. Like, she just called me straight, and I'm like, okay. Like, and I have a very guilty face for the most part. Like, I wear my emotions on my face pretty heavily. So, if she's like, why are you like looking all timid like a scared dog right now? Like, you're lying about something. Something's going on. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's great over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, oh shit, I totally lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Damn it. Yeah, this is awkward.
That's all right.
While I'm awkward as fuck, we want to thank our Patreon people: Adam Pacino, Mark Stadler, Kylie Gangwish, Colby Jordan, Chantel, and of course Colton Zammersla, who refuses to get with the program.
Yeah. Yeah. We got comments on the YouTube. Or do you remember?
I do. So I
Okay,
don't.
go ahead.
In the same vein, and same like way you were going, I don't actually remember my mother ever telling me, like a certain thing to make me think I was lying either.
Yeah.
I just, for the longest time, I just assumed she knew. Like,
yeah.
Because I'd tell her something and she would just be like, no. I'd be like,
Yeah.
fuck. Okay, well, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. No.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking when I was thinking about that like there were shifts at every part of my childhood where I realized something that drastically changed who I was as a person.
Yeah.
And I think I was 12 when I realized that whenever my brothers or sisters went to tell on me, if I was right behind them and I sarcastically went, yeah, I definitely did that,
Yeah.
my mom would instantly believe that they were lying.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Mom, Russell took this from me, and I'm like, of course, Mom, I took that from them.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The second, and when I realized that, I just abused it.
Yeah. What? Of course you did.
Yeah. Obviously, I took that, Mom. Like, why would they lie?
Yeah, and like as soon as you find out one thing kind of works in your benefit, you're like, you know what? Here's the thing: is you just start to like, yeah. I remember in high school, and I don't know if this was her true belief, but this is what she would say all the time: is how sweet of a boy I was, and how I wouldn't like do all these like. And so I would purposely like feed her stories of like my friends doing crazy stuff. And I mean, at the same time, that might limit my ability to hang out with that person in particular, but if they're hanging out with somebody else and I ask to hang out with that person, then it's fine because she doesn't know. Like, she can ask all 300 questions about who's going to be there, what do they smell like, and where they live. But, like, that was how it worked. But, yeah, so I would, like, purposely, like, my friend Tyson, but my fucking brother hated him. My mom was, like, on the fence. She liked him as a person, but like she would hear the stuff that he would do at like school and stuff, and so it was like, I don't know if I want you hanging out with him. and then there were some friends who were like, that guy, I'm pretty sure that guy's smoking meth, and she's like, I just love that Patrick guy. Like, all right,
Yeah.
dude. It's so weird. Yeah. So I sometimes I was like, man, she knows everything, and then other times I'm like, I don't think she has any idea what's happening. But I don't know.
Yeah. Since we're on this like crazy topic, I think I single-handedly traced my downfall as like an early teenager up until I obviously turned my life around and joined the Navy, which is debatable if that's a turnaround or not. But there was a time. So my mom wasn't. I love my mom. She was a single mom. Let me just get this out of the way. She was a single mom. She did the best she could.
Right.
Whatever. But she didn't always make great decisions, and neither did my father. And I've tried to frame the way I am as a father against what I thought my two parents didn't do great.
Yeah.
But again, they're both good people. They did the best they could.
Right.
They had me really young.
Yeah.
But there was a time where my mother was me and my brother were in a fight. Me and Zach, fucking asshole. We were in a fight, and his go-to thing at the time was to pick a fight, or I'd pick the fight, and then his immediate response was to run upstairs and go tell mom immediately, right? And at this point, she had caught on to my sarcastic shit.
Yeah.
And she knew that I was just doing it to cover my ass.
Yeah.
And so I top the stairs, and as soon as I top the stairs, she grabs me.
Oh shit.
And not in the best way. Right?
Yeah.
Like, fucking.
Was it a loving embrace?
No, it's not a loving embrace.
Oh, come here, little Shane.
And she grabs me, and she's screaming at me. And for whatever, and I'm 13, I remember that specifically, and for whatever reason, I was just like, no.
Yeah.
And just like pushed her as hard as I could. Because,
oh, yeah.
Well, like I said, I was at the top of the stairs, and she had grabbed me by the throat.
You threw your mom down the stairs?
I didn't throw her down the stairs.
Oh.
I was on top of the stairs, and she was against, there was like a wall right there. So I pushed her as hard as I could, and she hit the wall.
Oh shit, yeah.
And I remember seeing the look in her eyes that like she could no longer be overly
Physical,
aggressive to
yeah.
Because at least one of the four of us had gotten too big for that to work anymore.
Yeah.
But had I not realized that, had I not done that, I think some things would have been different for all four of us in our childhood, because that day happened, and from then on, my mother just kind of hands-offed.
Yeah.
She kind of
would still like yell and stuff, but it wasn't like physical.
Well, I mean, she would yell, but even then, like me,
Like, well, yeah,
well,
what's
me and
that
Zach,
gonna do though? Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Zach started it. We would just go wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted to go. We had nobody had any fucking tether over us. We just did whatever the fuck we wanted, whenever the fuck we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, a bunch of crazy shit happened, and me and Zach went down insanely ridiculous paths. And
yeah.
what the craziest thing ever to me is a couple years later, Alex and me were talking. And well, when I say a couple, I would say like 10, 15 years later, me and Alex were talking, and he said that obviously he never seen the altercation in the staircase, but he noticed the shift in the house, and he noticed that like he said verbatim, he was like, I used to look up to you and Zach because you guys were scared of nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys did whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted to do it, and no one could tell you different. And I just wanted to be just like you. And thinking back to that time frame of my life, I was fucking always scared.
Yeah.
Like, we were poor.
Right.
I don't know how my mother had food in the house ever. She worked fast food job to some fucking shitty chicken factory job to back to fast food.
Yeah.
And I was always terrified. I was like, we had like, from the time as far back as I can remember, I think we moved 15 to 20 different times in my 16 years of living with her.
Right.
And to hear that, like I said, and to hear him say that he looked up to us, that we were scared of nothing, that we just seemed You know, like the world was just like ours.
Yeah.
It's a crazy concept.
Yeah, because that's not how you felt about
Hell
it
no.
at all. Yeah.
I was always worried. I was like, dude, I have to go to school. I have to, and you know, and because we were poor, we could eat at high school. We could eat at school. So like,
Oh yeah.
going to school didn't bother me because like, it was always easy for me.
Yeah.
I never had to study until I got in the Navy.
Yeah.
Like before the Navy, I like never studied for anything. I was just like, class was fucking non-existent. Like it was just, I just had to be there so that I could eat twice a day
And hang out with people. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
And-
why. Yeah. Go ahead.
Because of that. Oh no, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Because of like hearing what he had to say, it also like shifted the way I've been as a father, because I don't know, like now I like it's hard to explain. Like I want my son to know really what life is like, not just
Yeah.
like what. And obviously he's 7. He's gonna be 8 in December, and like
Yeah.
it's just so crazy to me because there's so many things that play into like I have this tiny human being that's gonna be a man, and it's gonna be different for him. And not to sound fucking tone deaf, but like it's not like no one listens to white dudes in America anymore because we have everything. And I'm not
Right.
saying that like everything like that we don't have it easier, because like
Yeah.
dude, fuck,
Yeah.
I mean there's a lot of data to say that we do, so whatever, we
Yeah.
do fine.
Right.
But also you got to watch how you fucking speak. I don't know.
Yeah. And so you kind of want him to be aware of what things could be potentially, but also protection from that. Like, but
Yeah.
not oblivious, because there's some kids who get raised in a bubble and they're like every now and then I'll talk to people who are in like their parents never got divorced and they had a stable they had their own house, they lived in
Yeah.
a house and they never moved. And I'm like, yeah, so anyway, I had 2 birthday parties and my dad moved probably 7 times and my mom moved probably just as much my entire child, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like talking to people who didn't experience that, like that's so weird because they're there was this guy I worked with at the job I had before I moved up here, and me and my buddy TJ, he like we would just like trauma dump on him because he
Yeah.
came up like in this super like normative home, and
Yeah.
like to say the things that we would, he's like, oh my gosh, like he just was baffled. He was blown away by this, like these concepts, and he's a very sweet guy, like we're still friends with him and everything. But it was just very funny to see his like authentic reaction to what we thought was normal, and he's just like, what
Yeah.
is happening?
Yeah.
So you don't want your kid to end up like that, where they're like, I have no idea what could be,
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that like this is gonna sound weird, but like I've started to, as I've gotten older and like had Emmett for a while now, and I've started to kind of see the flip side to, even though I don't agree with a lot of the time, the way that like quote unquote boomers are about how like their life was so hard, so our life should
Yeah.
be hard. I don't agree with that sentiment. At the same time, so like Emmett is, like I said, he's gonna be 8 in December. He's lived in the same house his entire life.
Yeah.
He's got a really stable like life, and he kind of does live in a bubble, like,
Yeah.
and not because that's what's being forced upon him, just because like that's just how life
it
is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go, maybe I should be harder on him just because because he needs to be,
Yeah.
because he needs some kind of harder reality. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But part of the reason, like, by no means am I a well-rounded fucking adult, but
Right.
but I can deal with things I've noticed that other people can't deal with because growing up my life was hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whenever shit's going south, you're just like, all right, cool, I'm stressed, but I know that I can deal with this because
Yeah.
I've been in these stressful situations.
Right.
So by Emmett having this great life, am I am I setting him up to later in life be just fucking overly stressed and overwhelmed because he never had to deal with any kind of strife? It's such a, I don't know what the right word is, but it's such this weird like juxtaposition, I guess you'd say, where like I want him to know what struggle is, but I fucking don't want him to know.
Right. Yeah, and I think where, he's only 8 or almost 8, like he's still pretty early on in school. Like he's got 10 more years plus of school, right? Of just regular grade school. And I think, for a lot of kids that do end up, living in, but like that's where the most of the adversity comes from. Yeah. If it doesn't come from, which it shouldn't come from home, like that's, we've lived that life and that's not fun and that's not what it should be. But, it does happen, unfortunately. And he'll probably hear about stuff like that at school. But I think most of the adversity for, kids that's where it comes from. And that's why I get like weirded out when people are like, I don't want to have my kid, but like, I want to homeschool my kid. And I'm like, I don't think that's a great idea. Like, I think they should probably be at least in a communal kind of situation. Like, homeschool now is probably vastly different than what it was when we met homeschooled kids when we were younger. But like, God, they were always weird. Like, always, yes. And they lived in a bubble all the time. Like, I met one girl who was homeschooled who I was like, she's somewhat normal. And even then, like, she was normal for, like, because I met her through, like, a youth group. So she was normal for the evangelical church youth group that I was going to, just because I wanted to socialize with people. Yeah. And that's a weird crowd. So, I like, looking back, I don't know how, and I didn't spend a lot of time with her outside of that. So I'm like, I don't know what this person is like, but they talk about Jesus a lot. That's all I know. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Do you remember in like the early days of like Westbine where I did that interview where I was like still trying to, not the Mormon, the guy who was an atheist?
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
So I knew him at a very, not young age, but I knew him in like the 6th grade, right? Yeah. And I'd always see him at church with his brother and sister and like super nice people, but you could tell they were like, there was like a little off. And I don't mean anything disrespectful. The guy's a great guy. I've talked to him multiple times throughout my life.
They just behave differently.
Yeah, it was just like, in social situations, you'd see like there was a little like disconnect. Yeah. And whenever someone finally told me, I think it was him actually, he was like, yeah, we were homeschooled forever. And it immediately clicked. I was like,
yeah, okay. You're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Cue all the memes of like dad sitting in your room with a wig on trying to tell you about how like real life is.
Holy shit. Fucking, is that like a movie 43 reference? Because... Oh my God. Yeah. No, I 100% get it. And yeah, it was always like, I would meet some homeschool kids at like little league soccer and football and stuff like that. Like, you would meet them because there was only a handful of elementary schools in my town. It's not like I was from like a huge town, 20,000 some people. So like, you would kind of get an idea of where, like, you went to so and so school, and then by the time you go to middle school, there's only 2 middle schools. Right. So that eliminates quite a bit. You start to see those people all the time, and then by the time you get to high school, it's either high school or the Catholic private school. And so when I would, like, as I was in high school and, like, going to different things, like, some of my friends would, like, we would all go to the football game or, like, different things like that. And then there'd be kids that, because I had friends early on who, because I went to a very, like, a elementary school in the rich neighborhood. Yeah. And so, like, they would know because they were neighbors with some of these people, but they would know some of the homeschooled kids, and we'd see them at, like, events and stuff. And I'd be like, I don't know, like, I just don't understand the concept. Like, I'd go over to my friend's house and we'd be playing outside and, like, oh, this is so-and-so, he doesn't go to school. And I'm like, what? that sounds awesome. But now looking back on it, I'm like, I'm glad I went, because I can at least, and I don't know, I haven't met any super homeschool people as an adult, and I'm sure they, adjust fine, but I feel like there's a lot of interaction that is very, like, I don't know, very important for children to go through, because it's as the society that we live in, you're gonna be working in a setting with a bunch of people from a bunch of different backgrounds, and if you don't really get that heavy interaction, like, you might see people here and there, but like, if you're not spending a large portion of time with those people, that's gonna be a culture shock in and of itself.
Yeah.
Unless you're a homeschooled kid whose dad runs a business and then you just take it over, and then in that case you're going to be out of touch with your employees. So I don't know.
No, I think it's very important. Like, I know there's like a bad rap that public schools get, but I think that if you're not homeschooled, maybe if you go to a private school, I think even then those are different kids. I think public school is just this like great mesh or amalgamation of just different backgrounds and upraisings and different lies your parents tell you to like make you listen, and I don't know, I think it helps you.
Yeah. Well, and it helps you, like, it puts you in situations where you get to like interact with people who are like, you get those weird kids that just like freak out and storm out of class randomly, or like the dudes who yell at teachers, and like it prepares you for the most random of life, because you get so many hormones in these little bodies, and then you put them in a class and you're like, don't move, and then shit gets weird because everybody's fucking like, I don't like it. And then you have the people who are just like, all right, yeah, I'll just sit here for 2 hours and listen to you talk about fucking butterflies or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And like, all those people have to mix and talk, and then you get like group projects and shit where you're like forced to interact with these people, and like, you might be the quietest kid, but now you're talking to a cheerleader all day, and you're like, oh, this is weird, I don't like it. But at least you get that experience, and then also, I mean, there's a lot of people that, like, especially right now, there's so much like bad press, like, aimed and like propaganda aimed at like public school, but honestly, like, it's also escape for some kids. They get to go be with people that they enjoy hanging out with their friends, or they wouldn't get the opportunity to learn anything at home. So
yeah,
I think it's important, but I don't, what the fuck do I know? I mean, I went to public school and look how I turned out.
No way.
Yeah.
No, I need you to pop out a kid already so we can have some like existential dad dread conversations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I will say I do. So when I go over to my brother's house, and like after the kids go to sleep, and he's just kind of like reflect, because we had, like, granted he's 5.5 years older than me, but we had a very similar, experience, as in, like, yeah, he's 5.5 when I was born, but really you're conscious from 3 maybe and on. Yeah. So there's only 2.5 years where I didn't exist, that he's aware of or whatever, and we had very similar lives in the fact that we compared to our younger brother, we lived that whole time, like 7 years. I was 7 when my little brother was born. Yeah. So we lived this whole time where it was just him, me, my mom, and like we went through all this crazy shit. And so as a dad, he's like reflecting after a decision. He's like, God, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, I don't want them to think this, or but I want them to experience this, and and it's kind of fun to see this side, because it's like, I remember very vividly having having these as children conversations about what the parents are doing, and and it's very weird to be like, we're on the opposite end of it, and and he's doing a great job, whether he thinks it not, or thinks it or not, but it is interesting to see that. And
yeah,
and like my other friends who I grew up with, who are parents now, it's just wild, because obviously we live vastly different lives now, but like at the bare bones of it, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. 'Cause, like just to see, because they pick up on the stuff that their friends told them when they were growing up, and like so they use these, and they're like, I don't want to do this, and like you remember how awful your mom was? I don't want to be that, and so
Yeah.
like as a person who doesn't have a kid, looking at people who do, it's very interesting and cool.
It's always, for me, it's always fun because like I work with, I mean, you know how it is being like at a command, like, and if for me as a person, and obviously me and you are different because we got close quick and we like learned about each other, and we it's different for me and you, like,
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, especially now with the rank I am, people don't talk to me, right? I mean, like, they don't ask me questions, and when they find things out about me, they get so surprised. So this past weekend, on Sunday, we decided we were all it was me, Emmett, and Natalie, and then my buddy and his girlfriend. We were gonna go to breakfast. We'd all just got back from camping, and we were just gonna go to breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm about to pull in to where we're going to breakfast, a guy from the command that I've talked to multiple times, good dude. We bullshit in the hallway, and we have like a decent rapport. I see him walking down the sidewalk, so I stop, roll the window down, and I start yelling random dumb shit at him. And he walks up, and he's like, "Where you guys going?" I was like, "Me and Natalie and my son are gonna go eat breakfast." And he goes, "Your son?" So I roll the back window down, and Emmett's sitting back there, and he waves. Yeah. And he goes, he's like, "I had no fucking clue you had a kid." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, that's him. He's 7. He's doing great." And Emmett says hey to him again, and then he goes on about his day. Well, 2 days ago, he stops me in the hallway, and he's like, "Dude, I had no clue." He's like, "I'm sorry," and I was like, "Don't be sorry." Yeah. Like, if you don't ask me the right questions, I'm not just gonna tell you, because there's at a certain point there's a disconnect, at least in our job, in my job that I have now. There's a disconnect that needs to be there, and if you don't ask me the right question, I'm just not gonna tell you. Like, it's not pertinent to our job. It doesn't affect anything. I don't need you to know that I have a kid, so you listen to me.
Yeah, it's like, when you work, it's not the same as working like a random, like, restaurant or like like cashier job. Like, you're not just sitting there bullshitting and like going, "So anyway, tell me about you." Like, there's I don't know, there is a formality to it. Obviously it's very informal at times, but there is like this very like, I didn't know half the shit about, like, there's some chiefs that would just like talk and talk and talk, and you're like, okay, well, I know everything about you now. But then there's a lot of them that are like, I'm pretty sure that guy's not even real. Like, I don't think he's like, he clearly doesn't want to be at home because we're here and it's 6 o'clock at night. We got here at 6 o'clock in the morning, but does he hate his wife? Does he have a wife? I don't know. Like, what's going on there? I don't know what's the deal. And so there is like there's like a separation, like you said, from how a lot of people interact, and it's weird to think about, but it's true. And it was definitely different than any job experience I've ever had. Yeah.
There's a higher up guy. There's a senior chief in the command that I've heard multiple people just drag, right? Just like, they don't like him, they don't like who he is, whatever. Well, then we had that command camping trip, and what I saw of him as a person at the command camping trip completely changed my view of him.
Yeah.
Like, we had some interactions during deployment that I wasn't happy about, and then getting to meet him and his family and his kids and seeing how he was as a person completely changed my view of him. Yeah. And I think it changed his view of who he thought I was as well, because ever since then, that camping trip, he stops, talks to me, like, randomly. Obviously he doesn't get too personal at work, but you can tell there's like we figured out we're real people. Like, interaction that happened, because
you're not just a ranking, like, you're not just the dude who works for him. You're an actual human, and he's an actual human to you.
The first night we were there, his kid, like, so we're sitting around a fire, there's no other kids, I've already put Emmett to bed, we're roasting marshmallows, we're talking shit, we're drinking beers, like, and this kid is just there, and I'm like, who is this kid? Just this little blonde kid, like
Yeah,
just
just
full of
hanging out.
energy, just like hanging
Yeah.
out with us. And I was like, I can remember as a kid hanging out with adults, and
Yeah, being that.
I was
kid.
like, yeah, and I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, yeah, you're not being annoying, hang out with us.
yeah,
Well, at a certain point, this kid is just destroying marshmallows. I mean, just
melting
going
them.
in.
Yeah.
Well, just like eating them out of the bag as
Oh.
fast as he can.
I thought you meant like just leaving them in too long or something.
Oh no! So we were helping him do the fire thing.
Yeah,
Because he's
okay.
little. He's got to be like
Yeah.
he had to have been like 6, maybe 7
sure.
on the way to turn 7.
Yeah.
But I noticed that he was just like eating marshmallows as fast as he could. And I was like, hey man, I was like, you're done. I was like, I don't know who your parents are, but you're done.
Yeah, this is way too many marshmallows.
And then he's like, my father is this person, and I was like, oh, got you. I was like, what's your name? And he goes, you can call me Calligator.
Kid
So-
sounds awesome.
Dude, he was. I loved that kid. Like, every time I see his dad at work, I'm like, "Yo, how's Calligator doing?"
How's
You know, like-
alligator?
Dude,
That's awesome.
I loved it. But I walk over, and I'm talking to him like, "Hey," I was like, "He's not being an issue. He's just destroying marshmallows. I know it's late,
Eating so many marshmallows.
and I just want you to know before you get sick from eating too much sugar, whatever."
Yeah.
So then he comes over and hangs out with us, and from that point forward, for the next 2 nights after that, he would come hang out with us, talk to us, and be a real person. And so it made me understand him better while he was at work. So I don't know, it's just cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but I just like it just fit in with that at the time.
Now, do you think that the lack of like personal interaction that you have is good, or do you think that you guys would have a little bit like, and the command as a whole have a better, better flow of how things went if everybody was like on a little more of a personal level?
I 100% think that should be more personal level.
Yeah.
As much as everyone talks shit, I'm one of those people that's done it before.
Yeah.
I think that if you and everyone feels it. Everyone's like, oh, they're forced interactions, but like,
Oh, like
Or, yeah.
command picnics and shit.
command
Yeah.
camping trips, whatever. I
Yeah.
understand they're forced, but at the same time, obviously not everyone's gonna get something out of it, but somebody is gonna get something out of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna make their life easier. Like, cool. They're a dick at work, but
Yeah.
outside of work, they're able like. I think if you see someone who's a dick at work and they're a dick outside of work, you're just like, oh, they're just a dick.
Yeah.
But if you see someone who's a dick at work and outside of work they're just a normal person, then you can go, all right, at work they're about work.
Yeah.
Work is work, and that's what that is.
Yeah, and so you
And
can
you
kind
can-
of like square off and be like, okay, we're good. Like, they're not
Yeah.
being an asshole. They're just like focused on the job or whatever.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that matters. I think
I was.
that-
Oh,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. No, you're
Oh, I was just thinking that like, yeah, the command picnics and like all those things, those suck, but like, those were the best because like you could sit and bullshit and you were, like that was like you with the people that you're with all the time. Yeah, but you're not worried about work. You don't have to talk about work. Like, I mean, granted, a lot of people still do, but
yeah.
like for the most part, you can just shoot the breeze and just hang out. And like, it's different because in in the Navy, when you're at a place, you're not there forever, so it's not like you have friends that are normal people. That you don't have a lot of civilian friends that you hang out with, and if you do, they're probably people that just got out and decided to live there.
Yeah.
So it's not like working at a factory in town where you see those people at work and then you go home and then on the weekend you hang out with friends you've known for however long. And like, so in a weird way you do need those interactions because like you do need, like, especially the junior sailors who don't have a network of people that like you might, as a when you get to a certain point, you're like, yeah, I know this guy and this guy and this guy, we used to be in the same squadron, but now they're down the road or whatever, and you can hang out with them. But like the brand new guys, they don't fucking know anybody, so they're like, we have to hang out because if I don't, I'll be in my room, and that's depressing. So like, I think it's good on multiple levels where it gives the space to hang out with those people and not like focus on work so much, but then also gives people the outlet to if they don't have any friends, to maybe make some, and then B, to actually like see people as normal people outside of the job, like you said.
Well, I think that whenever you can see someone in a natural spot, being who they are as an actual person and not driven by what the job says you have to be driven by.
Yeah.
I think that once that happens, you can, in your own mind, and maybe not everybody can, but for me, I'm able to go, all right, like you said earlier, we're at work, they're focused on work, and what they're doing is not personal.
Yeah.
And I think if you never get a chance to see who they are as a person, you just assume that everything they do that could negatively affect you is personal, which just makes
that's all your experience has been at that point. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, where does the time go?
Fucking, we're solving world's problems.
Oh man. I love it.
Yeah, these are like my favorite episodes when we just go on a thing about random stuff. Like, yeah, it's nice to know about the new stuff, but also like, I don't know. I feel like it's more fun to just go, we're just gonna just gonna go down this road.
I love it.
Yeah. Did you want to do your billboard?
Nah, we'll do that. We'll do it next episode. Keep it spicy.
Yeah. We're gonna keep you guessing.
This is for you, Kylie. We want to thank our friends, the Dutch and Denver podcast, the No New Friends podcast, the Kicking It With the Kellys, and the Roomity Room. We should have said at the beginning, go to the link tree, look at the walk pod.
Yeah.
Linktree/walk pod. Everything's there.
Yeah. Do all the things.
If you're listening to this show, then you already enjoy Levi, because let's be honest, 85% of the show is Levi, and I'm just here to make random comments. Thank you, Tom.
Jesus.
So check out the Remedial Scholar. It's great. If you think that Levi says too much in this show, in that show he never says it. He does all the fucking research, and I thoroughly enjoy listening to it, even though I have to hear his voice at least once a week. So that should tell you something.
Yeah. Yeah. I thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and it is a lot of work to research everything, but I do that anyway, kind of. I just don't write it all down. So now, instead of me badgering people with facts, I get to just do this, and then it's out there, and people can listen if they want. So check it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. I've had enough. Peace out, bitches.
Tip your bartender.